Hello and welcome back to Premier League Prime Time. Here, Davis back again for episode 17. And again, not too long ago. I forget which number the episode was. But it's just me today. All the others are busy doing something. So I'm here to give you exclusively my thoughts on everything of all the games that have been played, this week, and I will give you my predictions for the matches coming up on match day 18. Now, we're gonna jump right into this, and we're gonna start off with my boys, Manchester United, getting a massive 1-0 win away at Burnley. I don't care if it's one goal. I don't care if it's a penalty. I don't care if it goes in off of someone's ass. I honestly do not care. I'm just over the moon with the 3 points. It was 1-0 was the score at Turf Moor. Paul Pogba with a 71st minute wonder strike. That it was an absolutely brilliant strike. Although it took a deflection or two and went through Nick Pope's legs. Again, as I said, I do not care because who's top of the league? Manchester United are top of the league, and I have not been able to stop smiling since. Have not been able to stop smiling since Tuesday. It's just absolutely wonderful. I'm absolutely buzzing. As I'm still buzzing right now. And to sum up this game, I really have to say, it was a game which Manchester United 100% deserved to win. Burnley did what Burnley do best: sit back, overly physical. And with all due respect to Burnley, Burnley they don't have a football brain. They're not a club that occupies on using a football brain. They occupy on sitting tight, staying compact, and bullying whoever they go against. That works against some teams, but it ended up really not working in the long run. To be honest with you, there are countless numbers of times where I saw some of our players getting absolutely battered. Paul Pogba in particular, Bruno Fernandes, Anthony Martial, Harry Maguire. Just loads of times where Burnley just relied on physicality and just bodying our players. And I mean, if you want to be a top level team, you're going to need more than that. To be honest with you, and that's just. I mean, that was just really. I mean, what I can give to Burnley is that they sat back well. They defended well, but after United scored the goal, Burnley just looked toothless up front, and they tried lobbing the balls to Wood and Barnes, and then Vidra came on, and then Jay Rodriguez came on, and they were just luckless. So yeah, I can sum it up as very, very well deserved win for Manchester United. Not the prettiest and most graceful performances, but we got the W. And we're in first place. So I don't care what anybody says about how poorly we were in terms of our finishing and whatnot. Point out whatever players you want. Manchester United are top of the league. And I'm just gonna say I'm enjoying it now because it might not last for long, and it probably won't. Anyways, we're gonna go into the next game, and Sheffield United have finally got their first win of the season. Newcastle came to Bramall Lane, and they lost by a goal to nil through a Billy Sharp penalty in the 73rd minute, and Ryan Fraser getting a stupid red card, actually right on the stroke of halftime. And all I can say is, well done, Sheffield United. That game was utterly deserved for them to win. Sheffield United outshot Newcastle by 17 shots to 7. They dominated possession as well. Sheffield United with 67% possession, and Sheffield United with 67% possession, and Newcastle with 33% possession. And Sheffield United completed more than double the passes that Newcastle did. And I mean, what can I say? Newcastle tried to hang in tight, but they just weren't good enough on the day. And Sheffield United put in a really, really good performance. I do have to say, whatever Chris Wilder did, whether it was in the locker room or on the tactics board, something just must have clicked. And you know what? I've been plenty critical of Sheffield United this season, but you know what? Fair play to them, because they actually played really, really well, and they got a valuable 3 points. I still think Sheffield United will end up getting relegated. But yeah, this is this is huge. Something for all Sheffield United fans to smile about and be happy about. Yeah. That's a massive, massive result for them. And that's going to be huge going forward. Maybe it could change the complexity of their season. Into the next game, and Wolves hosted Everton. Both sides missing their main strikers up front, Raul Jimenez and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, respectively. And Everton came away with a 2-1 victory at Wolves. Alex Iwobi opening the scoring in the 6th minute. Ruben Neves equalizing in the 14th. And Michael Keane scoring with a towering header in the 77th minute. And something I can say about this, right? Is that this was a really, really this was a pretty unlucky game for Wolves, because Wolves outshot Everton. They didn't dominate, but they had more possession of the ball. They completed more passes. And I'm not trying to specifically just use straight up stats, but in the game, Wolves were, and ironic as this is super ironic to say, but Wolves were a lot more on the front foot in this game. And again, as I said, it's ironic to say because we know how Nuno Espirito Santo usually likes to play with that back three. But today, but on Tuesday, he went with that back four. And he tried to throw everything forward, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to get anything out of it. And this is a tough one for Wolves to take. A big 3 points for Everton as they move in and close in on league leaders Manchester United as of right now. And they are, and I think they are in 3rd place now in the Premier League. As Tottenham again, as we're going to talk about them right now. Actually, Tottenham played Fulham. And they dropped points. They dropped points yesterday. And especially how. It was Andre's birthday yesterday. Shout out to Andre. Happy birthday, Andre. And I apologize. No, my bad. No, I don't apologize. Tottenham should apologize to you on the behalf of their, performance that just simply was not good enough. Harry Kane opening the scoring with a brilliant cross from Reguilon, and a diving header from Harry Kane opening the scoring, and then Ivan Caballero in the 74th minute equalizing for Fulham. And despite both had 15 shots on goal, Tottenham actually ended up with more shots on target. Tottenham with better possession, more passes completed. To be honest with you, Fulham were dominating in terms of being in terms on the front foot. And we all know what Jose Mourinho loves to do. Gets his goal, and what did Tottenham do? They sat back. And honestly, I have zero, and I mean zero sympathy for Tottenham. I don't care anybody wants to say. That is just so piss poor. Tottenham had all the firepower on the bench. Gareth Bale must be absolutely broken. Coming back to Tottenham in the summer, thinking, this is my chance. Maybe if I want to get back in the Real Madrid first team, if I want to go back to the Premier League and play for Tottenham, or just to get myself back, back to just playing relevancy. Gareth Bale must be absolutely broken. They had Lucas Moura on the bench. But Tottenham were just so poor. They were just not good enough. And the way they set up, I was shocked. I was definitely shocked at some of the team selections, to be honest with you. Davinson Sanchez, and I haven't seen Davinson Sanchez start a Premier League game, I think since Wolves when they played three at the back. Um, again, we saw Højbjerg play with Harry Winks, and that combo, as I said from the opening day, that combo just does not work. It's too defensive, far too defensive. There's just there's no number 8. There's no person that transitions the ball, or that can transition the ball. I mean, we've seen Harry Winks do it before, but for whatever reason, he seems like he can't do it. And at the moment, Fulham were excellent in terms of not giving up. They're very gritty about, especially in the way they performed in the second half, because they dominated and they kept playing on the front foot throughout that time. And you know what? Credit should be given where it's due. And I do say Fulham were very good in the second half, and they definitely deserve to get a point. Arguably, maybe all 3 points. But Tottenham, they were poor. They were absolutely dreadful. We're going to go into the next game, and Manchester City hosted Brighton, and they won by a goal to nil. Phil Foden with a strike going into the bottom left-hand corner of the net, right on the stroke of halftime in the 44th minute. And now what I can say is what I've said. What we've said so many times about Manchester City. This is just a traditional walk in the park for Manchester City. Although the scoreline doesn't reflect it, the 16 shots to 5 most certainly reflects it, and the 66% possession to 34%, and the 726 passes completed to 384 passes 100% says something about this game. And all I can say is that this is, Manchester City should have had more. Raheem Sterling missing that penalty right at the end of the game. Very, very unfortunate there for Raheem Sterling. But yeah, Brighton, it was kind of written in the stars, wasn't it? But what I can give to Brighton is that Brighton, although City were toothless going forward, Brighton for the most part did well from keeping the scoreline from getting any worse than 1-0, to be honest with you. And the small amounts of credit should be given where it's due. Into next game and last game of this midweek run of games, and Arsenal hosted Crystal Palace, and as I said in my predictions, Arsenal 0, Crystal Palace 0. Crystal Palace outshot Arsenal by 12 shots to 11. Although Arsenal had more shots on target and more possession and more passes completed, or should I say double the amount of passes completed, more than double. I just do have to say, it's not good enough from Arsenal, and from the quality that Arsenal have. I know Mikel Arteta is now heavily relying on some of these youngsters who are now, some of them you can call men. Bukayo Saka, he's been in and around the first team. Yes, he's still a kid, but he's now been in and around the first team for some time. So he's more or less cemented his place as a starter. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, of course, you had Alexander Lacazette. He scored 2 goals last game. You had Emile Smith-Rowe in there. He's still slowly finding his feet, despite a very, very good start from his run of games. And to be honest with you, it's, what more can I say? It's just a really disappointing overall performance from Arsenal. And Crystal Palace, kind of like Burnley, they did well with what they usually do. They sit back, and then they try and hit. They really try to hit Arsenal on the break with the pace of Ayew and Wilfried Zaha, and Eberiche Eze, Andrew Townsend on the other side. But Arsenal's defense did well there, and specifically Bernd Leno made many, many key saves to keep Arsenal in the game, and that was absolutely massive. If Arsenal were going to, for Arsenal to even get a point out of that, that was very, very important for Arsenal in the grand scheme of things. And now we're gonna go right into the predictions for this weekend, this weekend for match day 19. Starting off with Wolves against West Brom, and I think this is a no-brainer. I think Wolves are just going to take all 3 points here. I mean, West Brom got absolutely battered 4-0 by Arsenal. Yeah, yes, they're going to have more rest, but Wolves should have the quality to beat West Brom. It's as simple as that. I don't think it will be an easy win, knowing Sam Allardyce, but yeah, I think this is going to be a Wolves win 100%. Into the next game, and we have West Brom hosting Burnley. And for me, I think again this is straightforward. I think West Ham will get the job done. To be honest with you, and what I can say is that Burnley, I think, will just approach this game as they did against Manchester United, as they will do now, as they just always have since they've been in the league, which is just be physical and sit back, be defensively strong, and long ball up to Wood and Barnes. But yeah, to be honest with you, it's just like, I mean, if Burnley want to survive this season, they need to change the way that they play. Because I mean, you can't keep playing, the way that Burnley has for the longest period of time. Because at some point, I think they're just, at some point, it's gonna hurt you at some point. And if they get relegated this year, I will not be surprised because their amount of goals that they've been scoring is absolutely shambolic. Anyways, into the next game, and Leeds host Brighton. And as for as well as Brighton did, I guess, defensively against Manchester City, although as I said before, City were pretty toothless. Unfortunately, I think Leeds United will come away with a win here. Although they do struggle, as I've said times in the past, they do struggle with leaving. They always leave big gaps at the back, and they hit teams on the and they get hit on the break all the time. Manchester United, Crystal Palace, those 2 games in particular standing out. I think Leeds United will come in, do a professional job, and will get the job done. And for me, it's as simple as that. Next, we have Fulham against Chelsea. And as poor as Timo Werner and Kai Havertz have been in the Premier Leagues for some time now, it should be nothing but a Chelsea victory. I expect nothing but a victory from Chelsea. And anything less will be very, very disappointing for Chelsea supporters. Do I think it's going to be a walk in the park? No, I don't actually. Especially for how Fulham performed against Tottenham. I definitely don't think it's going to be a walk in the park, but I think Chelsea should be able to just break down and eventually beat Fulham. Into the next game, and we have Leicester against Southampton, and this game is a draw written all over it for me. These are 2 sides that have sort of been falling off just a little bit as of recent. Although Southampton did get a big 1-0 win against Liverpool. I do have to say that I think Leicester will match Southampton for what they have. And I think this is just going to be, although Ralph Hasenhüttl is going to want to press forward and Brendan Rodgers is going to use his tactical know-how to try and navigate around the press. I mean, for me personally, I think this is a very, very, very even match, very even, and I think this game is just gonna end in a draw for me. Into the next game, Sheffield United hosts Tottenham, and by the performance against Fulham, that was very far from convincing. Although I do think Tottenham will rectify their mistakes and will be able to get a crucial win because they 100% need it. Because thanks to Tottenham, they freaking screwed over all of our fantasy teams because all of us have Kane and Son in our fantasy team, and all of us just got totally screwed there. So I'm gonna say is Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, if you're watching this, you better freaking perform against Sheffield United because I need those freaking points very badly. Anyways, into the big match at the weekend. The game I did a preview with Mr. Aiden Quinn yesterday. Liverpool host Manchester United, and this game for me is going to end in a draw. For me personally, I think what's going to happen is that Manchester United are going to sit. We may even see Daniel James in this game start on the right hand side. But for me, Manchester United will sit. It might be McFred, it might be Matt Fred, it might be Matt Tominay, but they're going to sit and they're going to try and exploit Liverpool on the counterattack through the pace of Marcus Rashford, maybe Daniel James. I don't think Anthony Martial will play, and they're gonna. I think Manchester United will play Cavani as like a focal point, but I think Marcus Rashford is going to be massive in this game for Manchester United. And I think United and Liverpool will meet each other just right in the middle. And I think this game will end in a draw. Hopefully United get the win because there's absolutely nothing I love more than getting a victory over those pesky Scousers, Liverpool. There's nothing that irritates me more than them. Into the next game, and Manchester City play Crystal Palace. And to say, in terms of records, Manchester City don't have that of an amazing record against Crystal Palace, to be honest with you. Although I do think Manchester City will beat Crystal Palace for me personally. It's simple as that. It will not be a walk in the park. It will not be a walk in the park. Crystal Palace will be difficult to break down with the likes of Tompkins and Chekuyate playing center back. I do think Manchester City will break them down, even with their striking problems. And into the last game this weekend, we have Arsenal against Newcastle. And for me, what I'll say about this game is that Arsenal did struggle today against Crystal Palace. Nobody can deny that. But I think Arsenal will see the mistakes that they played. And especially now they'll have a fully fit Thomas Partey back in midfield. Maybe Gabriel Martinelli will be back. So they will have some big pieces that they've been missing back. I know Gabriel was on the bench. He'll probably be back. I don't know what's going on with what's his name? Pablo Mari. Kieran Tierney was rested this game. And Arsenal, to be fair, they were missing some big pieces today. And for me, if they get all of those pieces back, playing and clicking together, I think Arsenal will win this game. For me, it just depends on the way they set up. Anyways, I know this is a rather quick show, a shorter, briefer show, but that is the end of today's show. If you liked what you saw and you want to see what's going on with us on Instagram and Spotify, links below in the description. If you like what you see, also smash like on this video. We're trying to build up, all the likes that we can, try and just, we're trying to just, gain as much support for the show as possible. And hopefully we can grow and be even better. Every day we're looking to grow. Every day we're looking to make strides going forward. And yeah, simple as that. And wherever you are watching this in the world, have a good day/evening.